Evening YouTubers, this is Nick's User with another overview of a distro, but not a GNU+Linux distro. I was going to say a Linux distro there, but no, not a GNU+Linux distro. This is PC-BSD 10.3 Dual. Now I know the wallpaper says PC-BSD just 10, but no, it is indeed 10.3. I've made sure that the packages are up to date. I downloaded the ISO 10.3, I think it was yesterday, and installed it today. Yes, I did install it today. Had major dramas on the iron, so we're actually in VirtualBox at the moment. What else? I installed it under KVM and still had resolution issues. Clearly the KVM kernel mode setting drivers and Excel drives are simply not running by default. So instead of fooling around with all of that, I installed it on VirtualBox, and here we find ourselves now. I'm going to show you some of the peculiarities with the BSD based distribution, remembering too that this is PC-BSD, not FreeBSD, although it's based very, very heavily on FreeBSD. In fact, if not entirely on FreeBSD, except for some little visual quirks here and there, it is nonetheless a easy to use desktop focused distribution. There is a variety called TrueOS, which is the server variety, but that is provided on the installer. I did not select that today. No, I indeed selected the desktop variety. So we're going to take a look through now. As you can see here, we've got the PC-BSD control panel. Okay. So you're going to go have a look in there. Central control actions for some of the things that you would expect there. Flash Player. They've installed Flash Player by default. Curious. And we've got the Update Manager as well. Everything's up to date at the moment. Okay, so we'll get out of there. We've got the App Cafe. From there you can actually install your packages. Okay, so just give that a tick. Now, let's have a look for an app that I might want. Now, you might find it curious that I am looking for bash. Okay, not there, but just to note, I'll bring up a terminal and we'll go $shell, and we find we're actually running seashells. She sells seashells by the seashore. Glad I said that correctly. Anyway, moving on. So basically we can install, it looks to be GUI apps on here. I don't know if we've got wget. No, we've got wget paste. What could we install? Maybe MPV? 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 No? MPlayer? Let's have a look. We've got MPlayer. So how about we install MPlayer? We'll try it. Yep. Let's go ahead and install it. Of course, we gave our root permissions earlier. What's it saying? It's saying that it's already installed it. Let's have a look and see that it is. Let's see. No. Is it actually installed? Let's see. It reckons it has. Let's have a look at the installed apps. So I'm not noticing what I actually wanted to see there. So that's not seemingly working so well. Sorry, let's go back here. Let's try that again. Looks like we can list all. Oh, we'll just go in here first. Let's try this again. Yes, I do want to install it. Hopefully. Now it seems that things are going to behave a little bit. Just give this a tick. I appreciate your patience. I've had much patience. I didn't expect to be doing this at 12:02 AM. No, I started working on this at about 10. And here I find myself at 12. But I thought, look guys, I haven't done a video in a while. I've been very busy on a course and other work matters and family matters and all those sorts of things that get in the way of doing fun stuff like this. And yeah, here I find myself up at some terrible hour at night. But while we're at it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into and it reckons but it hasn't installed it. Is that right? No, I don't want to delete it. Maybe it has installed it. Let's have a look. Let's try. No. Oh, maybe we have it mplayer. Yes, we have mplayer. So we do actually have mplayer installed. I shouldn't be running it as root, but fine. Also, we could have done this. Well, I'm going to do this for bash this time. Package install bash. Okay, so it checks repository. Actually, no, it already has it. How about wget? We probably won't have wget, so let's go package install wget. What? We have wget as well. That's ridiculous. CRL. We've got CRL as well, do we? Bugger. MPV. Okay. Come on, we're gonna have something. MPV, okay, package, install, MPV. Better not be there. Okay, cool. So let's just watch that do its biz. So yes, it does have a working package manager. The other thing about it is it has what they call a ports mechanism, but that's not fully installed at the moment. So if I go cd/user/ports, fine, the directory is there, but nothing is in it. Well, nothing but the implied dot and dot directories. So now we have mpv installed mpv, and I don't know if we've got a GUI version of it. No, but that's fine. So simple story is you've got two ways of installing applications. If you put the ports in, you've got a third. However, I've heard that you've got to be particular about what branch of the ports tree you're going to take, depending on the version of PC-BSD that you're using at the time. Don't know how true that is, haven't tried it. We'll be looking at FreeBSD later on, possibly this week or maybe next weekend, and seeing how ports runs on FreeBSD. Of course, FreeBSD kind of, how shall we say, not giving you the kitchen sink. I'm going to have to set up some sort of desktop environment to show you what's going on there. But anyway, let's move on. Enough of an intro on package management. Back in the favorites, system settings. We've got some system settings going on there. So don't like it when we've got two different sets of control panels, but fine. We've got the file manager, typical stuff that you would see on a KDE desktop, and you've got the terminal that I was just in before. Okay, I don't know if I mentioned this. Yes, I did mention it. I'm in VirtualBox. Fine. Let's continue. Oh, I don't want to do that. Okay, let's go back. Oh, what's going on? I'm having fun here, aren't I? Cancel. Okay, looks like what we've got here is a bit of mouse failure. So let's see if we can get things rolling again. What is the command for that? There's Alt F1, Window F1, Control F1. No. Well, what we might need to do is we might just go out of that mode and go back into that mode and see if it behaves now. Okay, so things are a bit funky. Yeah, I was hoping that wouldn't happen. I did suspect it might, and it has. So what we're going to do, we're going to do a little reboot of the virtual machine. Okay, and that's actually good anyway, because you guys get to see how it boots. So machine reset. Yeah, that's fine. So it uses grub by the looks of it, some sort of modified version of grub. So let's just see how that, it's a little bit different to the way Linux and GNU boot up. And what we'll do, we'll go straight into full screen mode, so there's hopefully not a chance in hell that we have any more of these sorts of dramas. So as you can see, VirtualBox is kind of playing okay with it, but not entirely. We also have the, oh, you just missed it there, but we had a mouse cursor in the TTY just there. So let's log in again, see how we go, give this a tick. Hopefully no more strangeness. These things happen. It's only to be expected. How much did you pay for the software? You can claim it on warranty. What warranty? Okay, so things seem to be behaving again. So let's go into, oh yes, the last thing we have is the terminal. Let's go into development. Okay, so you got your Qt 4 and 5 documentation browsers and a graphical user interface designer there. Oh, that's for Qt 4, of course. We have, let's go back into education now, and in here we're going to have the virtual globe. Tried this before, didn't work I think it was on the iron, it didn't work. Now that could have been due to 3D settings or something like that. I can't give you a confident answer. I haven't enabled 3D settings on this, so it may indeed fail, and we'll just move on nicely and carefully. This guy as well, on-screen creatures, that didn't work either when I did not have 3D enabled. I don't know if it requires 3D, just giving you the heads up that it didn't. And graphics, we have Xane, which is great for your scanning requirements. It can be quite a complex application, lots of settings and things to get into there. So yeah. Now what I'm going to do, one of the things I wanted to do today, a couple of things, is I'm going to do a print screen. I'm going to take a snapshot, save that. That's going to be for our thumbnail later, but it is also for using GNU to have a look at. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a terminal, go to console, and I'm just going to make a man page into a PDF. That way we can use Ocular to take a bit of a look. So man t bash pipe ps do pdf and bash.pdf. So it'll take a couple of seconds. Done. Now we can minimize that, go back to here and look at our graphics applications. Now next one is Ocular. Now I'm going to open up that file with Ocular. It wasn't in documents, no, I indeed put it here, and you can see that that's a reasonably rendered copy of the manual page. It's kind of nice. Okay, so that's going to do all that sort of thing. You can use Ocular for that. Next cab off the rank is going to be GIMP. Now we could probably get GIMP to open up that photograph, or should I say that image. I'm going to just run it in single window mode because I'm a bit of an amateur. That's what I'm going to do. I don't know if other people do the same, and we'll just see if that opens up, and it does indeed open up. I'm not going to save anything to do it, I'm just going to quit. So as you can see, GIMP works. GIMP is great. Next one is GNU. Now GNU is a pretty simple photo viewing tool. We can just see our, and you could just see a little bit of pixelation there, and as it loaded the image, and then that went away. So that's pretty cool. We can just do that. You can use that for your photo viewing needs. We have another PDF viewer. This annoys me. I don't like seeing multiples of applications. If you're going to recommend an application for a particular use case to me, do it. Particularly if the application is so lightweight as this. I don't really need it. I've already got Ocular. Choose one or the other. Yeah? Help your user. That's looking funky anyway. Not very, not formatted very nicely. Let's try and load it again. No, and it still doesn't. So, not a very good application in my view. Now, further down, we've got the paint program. Looks very much of the Windows sort of variety paint program, but it is a little pixelated, so I don't think we're going to be doing any MC Escher drawings or Mozart, not Mozart, or any Van Gogh today. Mozart, of course, being the composer rather than anyone to do with that sort of stuff. Screen capture program, we just used that before. It's nice. We've got the color chooser, which is kind of nifty because you can just go like this and go, I want to know what that type of yellow is. That's great. It's really like a dark cream. Movie. I'll just leave that there. Education. I don't want any dramas. No more dramas. We'll go back. Oh no, we're getting dramas again. Well, I'm not going to hide it from you. You might as well see it. What I see it. This is meant to be a FreeBSD review, but this is turning out to be problematic because the menu misbehaves. Let's just try and Oh, I probably am going to have a bit of a drama there. Let's have a look, because I just went to a true TTY. Let's make sure the screencast is still going. It is looking pretty tickety-boo there. What we need to really do is go back. Let's go and view this thing in full screen mode. Let's try and coax it into going, oh, cancel, don't want any of this. And let's go back into, and hopefully, no, still dramas. So that's pretty disappointing. That I'm hoping we can, just with maybe a couple of reboots, make our way back in, but I'm not liking this one little bit. The machine, let's reset this thing. Let's do an ACPI shutdown, hopefully. Actually, I think we might just go a bit more hardcore than that. Let's just reset the damn thing. So sorry, guys. Not my fault. I tried to produce one on the iron, tried to produce one on KVM, now trying to produce one on our lovely VirtualBox, and it didn't give me so much grief up to now. It's given me a lot of grief. So let's just see how the rest of it goes. Try and make this as pain-free as possible. Just give that a little tick. It's not using systemd or anything like that, or launchd from Apple, so it is what it is. Let's just log in again. Give that a moment to flash up. So that's what sometimes happens if you go to the edge of a screen with a virtual machine. It sometimes loses track of where you're actually positioned. And it's decided to give me this wonderful wallpaper in its infinite wisdom. It did that earlier too. Let's just close that now and stay off of the edges. Let's be very careful. Okay, so graphics. We had the screen capture program. We also had the, oh yes, I was going to show you that. We did that. Let's go back to the ruler. This is a kind of annoying little program. And you get that this little guy here. Apparently you can do measurements with it. Fine. I don't really much like it, but it is what it is. What's next? Internet. We've got the X11 VNC server, so if you want to look at this session remotely, you could. We've got the Firefox web browser. It's operating at version 45, which is just about the current version. We'll use that as the default, yes. And let's take a look at the about, and indeed a sort of recent version. Well, reasonably recent. I think there are some additional point releases after that. That's okay. What's next? Multimedia. Actually, no, we've got the Conqueror. Now, Conqueror, pretty basic web browser. I just wanted to tell you, I have tested Firefox under YouTube. It works fine. Conqueror was okay as well, not as good as Firefox in that regard as using YouTube, but it was okay. Multimedia. Now, we have the app player, we installed that before. We have a disk burning utility being K3B. It actually uses CD recorder. I'll just show you that. Close that. Let's have a look. Configure K3B. Okay. And programs, and we'll see that CD record is included in here. CD record. See? The real CD record, not Wodim, not any other stuff. And that's probably because they are not really minding the licensing issues there. The GNU people tend to have a problem with licensing. So let's go back into that multimedia. Now, we also have VLC installed by default. That behaves nicely. It is the WeatherMax version. Okay, so if you're looking for the Swiss Army knife of media, multimedia, and that's the one to get. I just installed MPV, doesn't count. We also have Pulse Audio. I don't have any audio enabled at the moment, so that's pointless. And we also have the M player. Don't know if that's going to come up in the lovely GUI mode. Probably not, because we don't have the GM player installed. Speaking of which, I want to take you and show you something about multimedia on here, or sound. Now, sound is not ELSA on this system, it's OSS, or no, not exactly OSS, it uses the OSS API, it's a re-implementation of it apparently, it doesn't use vanilla OSS. That means if I go ls/device/dsp, not going to be there this time because I don't have a sound card installed, you see, but it is there usually, and you can actually look at that. Putting white noise into DSP via /device/random, so you could indeed just go cat/device/random and pipe it into /dev/dsp. Very nice, and it works. You can actually hear the sound. The next thing to know is that you don't use ELSA mixer, or you don't need to use pulse audio. You can use pulse audio in this case, by the looks of it, but you don't need to. Indeed, what you can do is go mixer. Now we've got nothing in here. It's not going to have anything, so no point. Again, it's actually wanting to use /dev/mixer. Very Unix-like. You got to. That's the one thing about FreeBSD/PC-BSD. It is Unix. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's not the trademark Unix, but it is about as Unix as you're going to get. Okay. So, anyway, so that's one aspect that differentiates it. Let's move on. We've done the multimedia. In Office, not much in there. We've got Ocular, but we already had Ocular in the other place before. You guys know how I feel about having things in multiple places or having multiple applications for the same damn purpose, unless of course the distribution is specifically saying that's what it's there for. So other things, some utilities we've got here, but you'd expect those on KDE anyway. What I wanted to do is go back. Oh, don't do this to me. Oh, it's behaving again. Let's go slowly. Nope. Things are not behaving properly. So I think I know what I wanted to show you anyway. Okay, sysguard. Okay, so system load. Let's have a look at the system load. We're just using one CPU at the moment. It's behaving pretty snappily considering that we're using provided it with one core only. And it's only using 1 gig of RAM, and that's actually having loaded up Firefox before, having mucked around and installed bits and pieces, running KDE as well. So it's using no swap, using sniffle stuffle of its 4 gig allocation in this virtual machine. So it's pretty nifty on that type of thing. One of the weaknesses, sometimes there are issues with driver support, graphic support, things like that. Just doesn't have it sometimes. But if you've got an NVIDIA card, which a lot of people do these days, you're going to be well supported on this. The case in point here is if I go into Firefox, okay, let's just Alt F10 that if it allows me to. Okay. And what we're going to do is, yes, FreeBSD and NVIDIA drivers. So you are actually going to be served very nicely if you have, so you can get some drivers. Let's not go into the archive, let's just go back to the other versions, and you can see, yes, you are going to be able to get drivers for this if you have an NVIDIA card, which NVIDIA cards are some of the most popular cards around today. I unfortunately, or fortunately for that matter, run an AMD card. My AMD card is really well supported under GNU+Linux, to the point where I actually don't need the proprietary driver. I really don't. But for FreeBSD, it probably would be nice if I had one. Now, those of you who have a PlayStation 4, okay, you probably have heard before that FreeBSD, PC-BSD, well, anyway, that the PlayStation 4 runs a variety of FreeBSD based distro called Orbis. Now, AMD released a driver for that, but unfortunately it appears to me that AMD still, let's have a look, AMD GPU FreeBSD. Let's have a look, and we're not going to get much, I'm guessing. Nothing from, it says might be coming, that's an old article from 2015, might be coming, never saw it. Kernel mode setting, yes, they've done some open source work, but not with the proprietary / the hybrid solution from AMD. Certainly no Catalyst driver, nothing like that. Could be coming, don't know what AMD's plans are, but they tend to ignore FreeBSD. I suppose they've got their hands full with Windows and GNU+Linux, and lately they've been giving better and better driver support for GNU+Linux, so I can't complain there. Okay, so so basically, I'm not going to give this distro a review. It's running on a virtual machine, so I can't really comment in that regard. I'm not running on its ideal hardware, which would be an NVIDIA GPU. I could run under the Intel, but it might not work because there's some issues with that. We can actually take a look at that again. Let's just do this, and we'll go FreeBSD graphics. This is a great site to look at because it tells you the current state of the art with graphics in FreeBSD. So you can have a look at all the stuff that you would like to know about the graphics set or the graphics driver availability. As you can see, my graphics card, which happens to be a 7870, is only supported. Acceleration doesn't work yet. Very disappointing. Also, as I say, we've got some funkiness going on under the virtual machine. I wouldn't criticise PC-BSD for this because I've been having a good time with PC-BSD so far. Now, they reckon that the 4770, have we got it in here? Where's that? Just give me a tick. Let's just use this and be done with it. Looking for Intel. They reckon that the Haswell is working now because they're using the driver from Linux 3.8 in there. That's okay too, by the way. They are using a license in here for the Intel drivers that's compatible with the GPL version 2. But anyway, this is not going to be working until version 11 for mine, so I cannot use the Haswell for this recording. So it would have been great. I would have loved to have done it on the Iron for you. Couldn't do it. As you know, I love bringing distro reviews or overviews to the Iron, but it couldn't be done this time. What would I say about this? Well, it's different. It uses different shells by default, but you can have Bash if you want. It's an easy to set up BSD, so it's going to do pretty much what you want out of the box. If you've got an NVIDIA graphics card, you are even better served than I am. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for this, guys. I would take a look at it. Why would you use it? It's an alternative. Remember, as GNU+Linux becomes mainstream, you've got to look at the other alternatives out there because, you know, let's face it, it's not just the old culture that we're going for here. No. It's a security. Have you looked at GNU+Linux's security issues of late? And it's not because GNU+Linux is inherently insecure and it's worse than FreeBSD or Windows or whatever like that. I mean, I truly believe GNU+Linux is a relatively secure system. I don't tend to have any dramas with it. But look at the people out there who are getting issues with malware or what are we having? The bots, you know, how they do the botnets and stuff like that. Now again, I sincerely believe that my machine's not affected from that stuff, affected by that stuff. But it is happening to people, and so you've got to look at these alternatives because, hang on, there are distributions out there doing things that you don't want them to do, or they've got malware or something like that. Not pointing the finger at Linux Mint or anything like that. No, not doing that at all. I'm being serious there. I'm talking about, you know, GNU+Linux in general having issues with malware and whatnot, and systemd, you know, doing things that people don't want. This is about as Unix as you're going to get unless you go to OS 10, which is based on this. Anyway, you know, based on FreeBSD, which this is based as well as PC-BSD. It's pretty much 99.999% FreeBSD with a couple of things, smatterings of other things on top. So, advantages to this: you got a binary package management system. I could have installed LibreOffice on this. In fact, in the previous video where I tried to produce for you guys, I did. I installed it. It works. You've got multiple package management tools like Package, or you've got the GUI tool that we saw before. You've got ports, which means you can compile your own stuff. Ports isn't installed by default, and again, your mileage might vary with it because it's not installed by default. It's obviously not entirely promoted for this distribution, which is, you know, is really binary focused and focused on desktop, but it is there. It's available. People have done it before. It's great as an alternative distribution of the BSDs. It as an alternative distribution compared to something like GNU+Linux, it's good. It serves its purpose, and it can run a lot of the stuff. It has a Linux compatibility layer even. If you want to run something that must run on Linux, in fact, it has a compatibility layer, same concept as Wine is to Windows. This has a compatibility layer as is to the Linux and GNU systems. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I know it took a while to get another video there. I've been very busy, but it was also the fact that I tried to review other distributions like Nuttix and stuff like that. Just didn't work out in the end, and I thought, you know what, let's do something a little bit different. And in a previous incarnation, this channel, there were people who loved looking at the PC-BSD stuff. I hope that's the case this time. That's what I produce it for, that you guys enjoy it. So if you really did enjoy it, please like it. And if you enjoy looking at the different sorts of Unix stuff or tech stuff, Linux, GNU, the whole lot, box nice, just subscribe. It tells me that you guys are enjoying. We've got 295 subscribers at the moment. That's a good base to start from, and we can make this channel really great together. So anyway guys, I'm going to leave it right now. I hope you're enjoying yourself, whatever you're doing out there, and I hope to bring you something nice and techy soon. Good night guys.